Hi BookTube, Sarah here and welcome to my channel. Today I am coming to you with my weekly reads video. This is for week number 43 and it is October the 18th through the 24th. I read 6 books this week, you guys, and most of them, I think every book, am I right? Every book was 4+ stars, 4 or more stars, which is super exciting. So it was a great reading week for me. Now, before I get into the video, I just want to do a very quick announcement. I'm not going to be doing this every time I do a video. I just want to do it this one time. And I actually have really been debating on even saying anything, but I decided to do it anyway. So, in the description box below, as you guys know, I always put my timestamps for these videos. So if you want to go ahead and jump ahead to a specific video, feel free to do so. Of course, I'll also be sharing my new Netgalley books that I got. I do have a couple of books that I picked up at Walmart yesterday, so there's a mini book haul. I'm going to be showing you my crafting at the end. But what I kind of wanted to mention is that, and it's been there for about a month or so now, but I just thought I'd put it there, and if anybody noticed it, great. But I have set up a Ko-fi account, and for those of you who don't know what that is, it's essentially you have the ability to make a one-time donation to me, to essentially buy me a coffee. You know, if you just want to make a small donation, one-time donation to the channel, I would forever be grateful for that. I do this for fun. I do not do this for any kind of profit. I mean, yes, my videos are monetized because why not? But I just thought I'd throw that in there because I have been asked a number of times from people if they can donate, you know, to help me out, you know, buying software and lighting and things like that. So, you know, again, this is my hobby and I do it for fun, and I don't expect anyone to pay me to do this, but if you want to throw me a couple bucks, I would be forever grateful. So thank you for that. So anyway, that's the announcement. That's all I'm going to say. It's not going to be mentioned again in my videos. So let's jump into the books that I finished this week, you guys. Oh my gosh, it was such a good reading week. I loved it. So the very first book that I want to share with you, excuse me for reaching, was of course A Sheriff's Star by Makenna. I finished this one. Oh gosh, you guys, this one was so good. 4.5 stars. So this is the story of Tess and Anson. His name is Anson, yes. And this was a Netgalley read, so thank you very much to Netgalley as well as the publisher Harlequin for sending me an advanced copy of this one to review. There it is, so pretty. Now, the one thing I have to say, so I gave this 4.5 stars. This is going to seem petty, but you guys know what a stickler I am with 5-star reads. Like, I really have to love a book to give it a 5-star. And I really did love this one, but it is a bit misleading. I looked at that cover and I thought for sure, I'm like, oh, this is going to be such a delightful Christmas book. The Christmas part of the book is like that at the very end. Like, it's not very much at all. It's more mentioned in passing that they're celebrating the holidays. But outside of that small little complaint, this book was fabulous. So like I said, it is the story of Tess and Anson. And Tess is new to town. She has moved to this small town with her young daughter named Hannah. Hannah's the star of the show in this book, as far as I'm concerned. This is Hannah's story with her mom and Anson as secondary characters as far as I'm concerned. She stole the show. She was a delight. Now, she does have Down syndrome and she is a sweetie pie. And essentially, Tess has moved to this small town with Hannah, of course. And it's just kind of a little stop on the way for them. She needs to go to, it's small town Texas. They need to go to Houston after the holidays for Hannah to have open heart surgery. So they're kind of like, she's just here in this small town doing a job for a local museum, and she meets Anson, and he's actually her landlord. The house that she's living in was his house, but he's now moved next door with his grandmother into the bigger family home because the grandmother had suffered a stroke, and he's pretty much taking care of her. So yeah, it's their romance. I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice today. And it was an utter delight. It was so cute and so sweet. There were some very steamy parts in this book, which actually kind of surprised me a little bit. I don't know why it surprised me, but it did. But yeah, it was charming and delightful. And it was so nice to read a story about a single mother who has a child with special needs. Because it is something that is prevalent in society. Like, a lot of people deal with this, whether it's Down syndrome or whether it's autism or whatever your special needs child has. I think a lot of parents could identify with Tess and understand her struggles, and especially being a single mom. So, and especially dealing with something as scary upcoming as heart surgery. I've mentioned before that I myself have had 3 open heart surgeries, and I can't even imagine what my parents went through, in the lead up to that. So, I felt for Tess, and I adored Hannah, and Anson was just a great, sexy, small-town sheriff. This book was fantastic, and I highly, highly recommend that you check it out. The next one that I finished, for something completely different, was The Witches, Salem 1692 by Stacy Schiff. So this was a historical fiction novel. I ended up giving it 4 stars. It was dense. Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry, I do have my actual copy of it here. Now, I listened to this on audio, you guys, because this is a tome. This was narrated by Eliza Foss, and she did a really great job narrating it. So, this pretty much goes through the Salem witch trials in 1692 in Salem, Massachusetts, where, was it 18 convicted witches were hung. No, 17 were hung, and one was crushed, and a man was crushed to death, I believe. But it kind of goes through exactly what was happening in town, and how, they had just come off of a very long winter, and how superstitions were running high, and people's, nerves were kind of shot, and there were Indian raids, and how all of that accumulated to make the perfect storm to have this actually happen. And it was amazing. I really liked it. I do have a great interest, and I mentioned this before, on the Salem witch trials. I just think it's fascinating. It's a fascinating time in history, and how this actually happened on North American shores. And, 1692, when you think about it, was not that long ago. Okay, it was a long time ago, but it wasn't that long ago. It's not like it was like, 100 or 200 BC or something like that. With the belief in witchcraft and things like that. So, yeah, it was really good. I have to admit, Stacy Schiff, this is the first book by her that I've read. And she does try to inject a tiny bit of humor into it. So it's not like it's not a humorous book. Please don't think that. But a lot of the writing is very tongue-in-cheek, is what I mean. And, there were a few parts of it that, she'd mentioned something like, what was it? Somebody riding through on a broomstick. And then she has, like, this footnote that said something about, but why she would need to do that when it literally was in her backyard. Like, why they'd see her riding her broom around town when this, meeting with Satan was, like, in her backyard, kind of an idea. And the one thing, though, there are a lot of footnotes in this book, you guys. A lot. Now, I didn't look at it in the actual book itself. Yeah, okay. So they are actually on the page. I wasn't sure about that because some books put the footnotes at the very end, which is a giant pain when you're reading it. But they do it as you go through the book. So yeah, if you have any sort of interest in American history in this historical time period, I recommend that you give it a try. I mean, I liked it, and it was good on audio. My library actually had it. It's a longer audiobook. I think it came in around 18 hours. But I was very easily able to speed it up because it's slowly narrated. Narrators have different speeds at which they personally narrate, and this narrator was a little bit slower, so I was able to speed it up with no problem and still absolutely understand it. But yeah, I do recommend this one. It really was a very, very interesting read. The next one that I finished was actually a reread for me, and this was True Ghost Stories and Eerie Legends from America's Most Haunted Neighborhood by David Domie. I gave this one 4 stars as well. I listened to this one on audio, and it was narrated by Marcus Freeman. So this is a non-fiction. People will argue this one because it's about ghosts. Is it really nonfiction, or is it more supernatural? I did actually read this for the Fall Into Reading Challenge, hosted by Tia, Rainey, Angie, and Kelly. I apologize, Angie. I've been calling you Laura. I do not know why. I'm so sorry. But this was actually, I put this one under supernatural because ghosts, regardless, are supernatural. But this is a nonfiction work all about Louisville, Kentucky, and how it is like one of the most haunted places in the world. And it's essentially him, the author David Domie, relaying local ghost stories from this town. And it was so good. I really, really enjoyed it. There was a part, I was listening to it one night coming home from work, and I leave work at like 6:30, 7 o'clock at night, so by the time I leave work, it's dark. And I was driving in my car listening to it, and I noticed I was starting to like glance in the rearview mirror into the back seat, and I could just feel the hair on the back of my neck sticking up, and I'm like, all right, let's turn this off and listen to some music. Because it was just it's one of those, it gives you that creepy feeling. It's not like stuff jumping out. It's not a jump scare kind of an idea. It's not even a blood, guts, and gore thing. It's just that feeling of unease that you get while listening to these stories, and they were so good. So I highly recommend this one. I really, really enjoyed it, especially if you like ghost stories. The next one that I finished, oh, this one was so much fun, was Apple Cider Slang by Julianne Lindsey. This one I read as an ebook, and it is the first book in a cider shop mystery series. So it is a cozy mystery story, and it involves our main character, Winnie, and her grandmother, Grandma Smythe. And they run an apple orchard. And Winnie is trying to start up a cider business on the orchard. And when the banker comes out to, kind of go over the property and see what's what and decide whether or not he's going to give her a small business loan, they find the local kind of pain in the butt woman dead in the cider press, like inside the room where the cider press is. And she's kind of been like an enemy in a way of the grandmother. So the grandmother is kind of being looked at as being the murderer. And of course, Winnie's going to find out the truth. It was really cute, really sweet. It involves a pair of kittens. There are little little orange tabby cats. You can see them on the cover of the book, but they're just little kittens at this story. And their names are Kenny, Rogers, and Dolly. So the country music fan in me was so happy with that, to be completely honest. I loved it. And I will be reading the second book in this series next week, because Nicole from Who Baked This Book and Jen are doing a Julianne Lindsey end of the year, extravaganza, where every week they're reading a different Julianne Lindsey book. And this month we are focusing on these last two are cozy mysteries, and then in November it's going to actually be some of her intrigue books, which is very exciting. So yes, if you like cozy mysteries, give this one a shot. It was absolutely delightful. And the next book that I finished, excuse me, sorry you guys, still enjoying the coffee, is, I have a physical copy of this one too. Claiming the Rancher's Heir by Maisey Yates. I gave this one 4 stars as well. I really, really like this one. So this is a desire novel. It's a Harlequin desire novel. And this was sent to me by the publisher. This is another Netgalley. I did receive an e-arc of this, but they also sent me the physical copy, same as a Sheriff's Star. So this is being released in November, so thank you again to Harlequin for sending me the advanced copy of this one to read. So this is the story of Wren and Creed. Now this is the second book in the Gold Valley Vineyard series, which is a trilogy. The first book, which I had here, and I don't know where I put it now, but it is contained within this volume. The first book is called The Rancher's Secret. So you'll notice this is a lot thicker than a normal desire novel, but that's because A Rancher's Secret is actually in here. Where does it start? So yeah, so there's the split between the two books. So The Rancher's Secret is the first book in the series, and it's Wren's sisters Emerson's story. So you do see a lot of Emerson in this book, and they do talk a lot about kind of what happened in the first book. But so if you pick this volume up, maybe read it from back to front, like read the second story and then go back and read the first story. I have actually not read A Rancher's Secret yet, but I do want to now for sure. So anyway, like I said, Wren and Creed, and they run competing vineyards, and his is a very laid back kind of cowboy atmosphere, wine for the average person kind of an idea. Whereas Wren's winery is a bit more upper class, if you will. So the two of them decide to join forces, even though they hate each other, to try and bring business to each other's wineries. And, one thing leads to another. The two of them, it's very much an enemies to lovers story. They end up having a tryst in the wine cellar, and she ends up pregnant. And then the story goes from there. So yeah, it was really good. I really liked it. And again, much like a Sheriff's Star, even though it shows it would be Christmassy. This one, same thing. It doesn't really have a lot to do with Christmas. Again, it kind of happens at the tail end of the book. So in case you're looking for some holiday reads, would I consider this one and this one to necessarily be holiday reads? Not really. You could read these any time of the year, I feel. But I definitely recommend that you pick them up because, or this one, pick it up because it was really good, especially if you enjoy the Desire novels and if you enjoy Maisey Yates. She can write a book like nobody's business, especially cowboys. I love when she does cowboy romance. And the last book that I finished, I just finished it last night, was The Witches of New York by Amy McKay. This one I also gave 4 stars to, and I did listen to it on audio, and it was narrated by Lawrence Boulevard, I believe is how you say her name. This is a fantasy, and again, I read this one for the Fall Into Reading Challenge under the fantasy category. But I would almost, like, I understand where the fantasy part of it comes in, but I'd almost want to say this is more magical realism because it takes place in 1880s New York, and it is a historical fiction novel about witches. So I guess that's the fantasy part of it, but the fact that, in my opinion, it takes place in a real location, like in a real time period, but witches just so happen to be there. This very much gave me practical magic vibes, but, and as I've told everybody, the movie, not the book. If you've read the book is vastly different from the movie for practical magic. I'm sure anyone who's read it knows exactly what I'm talking about. But the vibe that I got from the practical magic movie and why I loved it so much is that it had that very magical, mystical element to it, and that's what I felt this book did as well. So this is the book about it's about 3 women whose names are Adelaide, Eleanor, and Beatrice. Adelaide and Eleanor run a shop in New York City, and it's a tea shop, but they do actually do witchy but more herbal stuff, like, you know, if you need something to stop your courses and or you're trying not to get pregnant, or, you know, a lot for women, mostly very, very women centric. And but they have to really keep it under the radar because other people are being like thrown into the tombs for doing this kind of thing. So the 2 of them run this shop, and it's a tea shop, but they, of course, do all these other herbal things. And they decide to take on an apprentice, a girl who is going to come and help run the shop, and that's where Beatrice comes in. She moves from small-town New York State to New York City, and it's kind of what happens to them while she's living there. She ends up getting abducted, and they have to find her and find out what's going on, and it was really good. It was long. I actually think that this was the longest book I read this week. Surprisingly, this came in, the Kindle edition states it's 529 pages. And this one, I think, comes in at, and the Witches book comes in at around 400. So this one was vastly longer. It was about 14 and a half hours long on audio. Really, really good, you guys. I wasn't sure about this one. I had heard about it, and I'm interested in all things witchy, so I knew I wanted to give it a try, but I was thoroughly impressed with it, and I really enjoyed it. There is a sequel of sorts to this book, A Winter Something or Other, and it's a very, very short little novella that I might pick up, you know, maybe in December, and it's pretty much about the 3 women sitting around telling, like, ghost stories in a way, which was a thing that used to be done at Christmas time. Ghost stories were very, very prevalent during the holiday season, you know, back in Victorian times and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think that one will be a lot of fun, but it might be a December book. But yeah, if you like fantasy, if you like historical fiction, definitely I recommend that you give this one a try. You will not be disappointed with this one. So, that's everything that I read this week. So, yay. So, let's jump into my currently reading. So, what am I currently reading? I'm currently reading Kathy's Christmas Kitchen by Tilly Tennant. Why did I blank on her name? By Tilly Tennant. This is a Christmas chick-lit novel. I love Tilly Tennant so much. You guys know I'm a big fan of her work. And this one is about a woman by the name of Kathy who has recently lost her mom. And she's kind of at, you know, she doesn't know what to do now with her life because she has spent the last number of years caring for her mother in her illness. So then one day she gets a pamphlet in the mail. This takes place in the UK, by the way. She gets a pamphlet in the mail that this local church group is kind of getting together to do, not donations, to raise money for cancer research. So Kathy decides to, you know, maybe get out and meet some new people. Her mother didn't pass away from cancer, but she still feels like, of course, it's a very important thing to try and support. So she does a lot of baking. So she decides to go to this meeting and she bakes all these cakes and, you know, all these other sweets, and she takes them over to the meeting. That's pretty much where I am right now. And she has just met the local vicar, who is not younger than her, but definitely not an old vicar, like he's a younger man. and I believe it's going to be the relationship between the two of them, and her more learning how to get on with her life and find her own life now that she no longer is a caregiver. And yeah, like it's so far it's delightful, and these books just make me so happy. So I am very, very much enjoying this one. And then the book I'm currently listening to on audio is American Witches, A Broomstick Tour Through 4 Centuries by Susan Fair. I'm listening to this one on audio. I'm actually hoping to get this one done today. It's a nonfiction novel about witchcraft in the United States, whether that be real or imagined witchcraft. In the case of the Salem witch trials, they weren't real witches, but of course she's going to talk about that. And so yeah, this one I'm really excited about, and I think it's going to be really, really enjoyable. So that is what I am currently reading. So let me share with you the 8 new books I got from Netgalley this week. So as I do with these, I do not go into a lot of description on these, but I'm just going to share with you the book, when it comes out, and of course a thank you to the publisher. So first up we have, I don't know, I have to say that historical romance authors are really, really nailing it lately with historical romance novel titles, because they're brilliant. So the first one is Hit Me With Your Best Scott by Susan Enoch. This comes out on February the 9th, 2021. Thank you very, very much, St. Martin's Press, for this one. It's a Highlander romance. Come on, it's going to be great. Next up, we have Strong Silent Cowboy, and this is by Laura Lee and Veronica Chadwick. This comes out on the 9th of March, 2021. Thank you again to St. Martin's Press. Now, I have never read either of these authors, but to my understanding, they get very, very hot and spicy. I think that their work may even borderline on erotica, so I'm intrigued. We'll see what I think about this one. The next one I have is Deadly Ever After by Eva Yates. This comes out on the 11th of May, 2021. And thank you to Crooked Lane Books for sending me this one. This is a great cozy mystery series, and I absolutely love it. Excuse me, and I've got the hiccups, and I'm looking forward to this one very much. We have... It is the Christmas books are slowly petering out now on Netgalley. I mean, pretty much the big push has already happened. So, all the Christmas books should be out by now, but there will still be a few trickling in. And we have Snowed In, with the Firefighter by Victoria James. I have read her before and really like her work. This comes out the 16th of November, 2020. Thank you very, very much to Entangled Publishing for sending me a copy of this book. As I was saying about historical romance titles, they're brilliant. Next up, Earl's Well That Ends Well by Jane Ashford. It's punny. I just love how punny it is. This one comes out on December the 29th, 2020. Thank you very, very much to Source Books for sending me an e-art copy of this one to review. Next, you knew that these books were going to be coming, and I think we were all kind of anticipating it. I know a lot of people have seen, like, the ones that have been on Kindle Unlimited that may not have been the best books, but this one we have is Love in Lockdown by Chloe James. This comes out on the 23rd of November, and thank you very much to Avon UK for sending me an e-art copy of this one. Pretty sure it's about two people who are, due to the quarantine, are locked down and end up finding romance. It sounds delightful, does it not? It sounds delightful. Next up, A Lady's Formula for Love by Elizabeth Everett. This comes out on the 9th of February, 2021. Thank you very much to Berkeley for an e-art copy of this one. And it looks really, really cute. So I think that it's like a historical romance, and she might be a scientist. So I am very intrigued. And the last one that I got was Friends Like Us by Sarah Mackenzie. This comes out on January 26th, 2021. And thank you very much to Forever for sending me an e-art copy of this one to review, because it looks adorable. I do really enjoy Sarah Mackenzie's work. I think her books are a lot of fun. And like I said, I did pick up 2 new books at Walmart this week, and they're not actually new, because both books I actually have e-arcs for, but I haven't gotten to them yet. But I saw these in Walmart, and I thought, yes, please. So the first one I'm actually going to be reading in December, because it is a Christmas book, and that is Happily This Christmas by Susan Mallory. It is the next book in the Happily Inc series. I think it's book 6. But I just think that this cover is just so stunning. And look, it's sparkly, you guys. I had to get a physical copy of this. I am such a big fan of her work that, I just really want to read this one in physical format. So I'm very, very much looking forward to it. And then the other one I'm actually going to be reading this week. And I saw this one, another author that I'm a big fan of. and I just love her books. But like I said, this one is actually going to get read at the tail end of this week, and that is Lisa Jewell's Invisible Girl, her newest book out. So yay, I am so stoked for this one. I cannot wait. Oh, I have no idea what this one is about. I don't want to know. It's a thriller. I will go into it blind like I do with all of her books. But yeah, again, I just wanted a physical copy of this. And my Walmart, I don't know if it's the same in the US as it is in Canada, but these were both 40% off. So how can you say no to that? And the last thing that I want to share with you guys is my crafting for this week. Now, I'm actually not going to show you guys any knitting. I know, weird, right? But I haven't been doing a lot of knitting because I've been doing a lot of cross stitch. So let me find the picture here. Okay, so I found this picture showed up on Instagram. You know, when you're scrolling through Instagram, you get the sponsored content. This one was a sponsored content, and usually I scroll through those, but the picture grabbed my eye because I must have been looking at cross stitch something or another at some point. And so anyway, I saw this picture and I fell in love with it the second that I saw it, and I had to go ahead and stitch it. Look at that, you guys. It's a cat, and he's wearing, or she is wearing, cat eye glasses, a lovely knitted scarf, and drinking, I'm going to say, a pumpkin spice latte. But I just thought it was so cute, and I had to stitch it. So I think the pattern cost me like $2 or $3 or something like that. So I went ahead and got it, and then I got the fabric from Amazon because I could not find green fabric in my local Michael's store. Uh-oh, I think I just lost my knitting needle, or my cross stitch needle, which makes me nervous because I do not need the cats finding it, which would be bad. Okay, as soon as I'm done filming this video, I gotta look for that needle. So here's what I've gotten done so far, you guys. So I'm working, it's 4 pages, the pattern is 4 pages, so I'm working on the 1 page, the corner, but you can definitely see the cat's eye glasses, the cat's ear, and the start of the scarf. So yeah, oh, I'm loving this. I think it's so cute. It's going to be delightful once I'm done, and I cannot wait to have it to hang in this room. I think it'll be lovely. So yeah, so that's my major crafting for this week. Anyway, guys, that is all that I have for this video this week. I do hope that you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below, what was your favorite book that you read this week? Or what books are you looking forward to finishing off before the end of the month? Guys, I have a ridiculous number of books that I want to finish before the end of the month. I think it's 11. 11 books, I think. Let's see if next week I sit down here and I talk about 11 books with you guys. Let's just see if I can do it. So yeah, anyway, until my next video, everybody, take care and happy reading. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye, guys.